Queer as Folk, Season 1, Episode 10, Queens of the Road. This was directed by John Le Cuyer, and written by Dub Gwynnon. First aired in the US on February 18th, 2001, in Canada, March 12th, 2001. So we start off, and Michael and David are leaving the Liberty Diner. David tells Michael about a fantasy that he has.
It's Sunday morning, and I'm lying in bed, and I hear the little thump of the newspaper at the door, and the sun's just coming through the window. And in the distance, I hear the sound of someone singing very quietly because they don't want to wake me up. I see through the frosted glass of the shower the shape of the guy that I love.
So David is trying to get Michael to move in with him still. He asked him at the end of the last episode, but it's been about a week, and Michael still hasn't given him an answer.
Hey, what do you know? X-Men's out on DVD.
I saw X-Men 6 times.
So when do I get an answer?
Soon.
They're going to be having brunch tomorrow.
Nobody's ever put me in a fantasy before.
That you know about.
I feel like a lot of people feel that way, that no one thinks about them the way they think about other people. But in Michael's case, we know that that is definitely not true. We know that Ted has probably had many, many, many fantasies about Michael. So David gets into his car. I know zero things about cars. Anyways, he's got a nice car, I guess. Mel and Lindsay are out on their front stoop. They have baby Gus with them.
Do you know he's a stay-at-home dad?
Really? So who pays for the Pampers?
She does.
Which segues into Lindsay saying that she wants to stay at home with Gus for about a year, it sounds like.
But I thought we had a plan. After your maternity leave's up and you get a nanny.
Nanny, I know.
Look, I'm perfectly happy for you to stay at home, and I think it'd be wonderful for Gus to have one of his mommies with him, but we have to be practical.
Money.
Unless you have a solution.
Brian?
Melanie's not happy about this. Sure, this wouldn't have been a great idea at the best of times, but since last week Brian wouldn't sign his rights away to Melanie, it's especially not good. But it's not like they haven't asked him for money before, right? Didn't he just write a $2,000 check?
I knew it would be so expensive having a kid.
And there didn't seem to be an issue with that at all. The whole life insurance thing. I get why Melanie doesn't want to, though. You know, if I were in her position, I probably wouldn't want him contributing to my household either. He doesn't seem to mind, and it is his kid. He's got lots of money, so if he wants to... But I get it. You know, with everything that just happened, this is especially a no-go idea for Melanie.
After what he did,
Just remember, we wouldn't have Gus without him.
and every time I look at him, I realize I have absolutely no rights.
You're still his parent. Every bit as much as I am.
Not every bit. Brian took that away from me.
Okay, so yeah, it's a really tough situation. But again, this is something that should have been done before the baby was born, or even before the baby was conceived. Anyways, it just sucks so much. Because she's right, she doesn't have any claim to her own son, and that's just not fair at all. She deserves to legally be his parent because she is his parent. I mean, but they, you know, go back and forth on this too, over how much of a parent Brian's gonna be, so... Again, things to figure out in advance. So at Brian's loft, Justin is showing Daphne around. Anyways, I love this. Oh god, Daphne, you've been missed.
Where do you see the painting of the naked guy?
Oh.
Obviously just woken up. Her reaction is hilarious. I love it.
Oh my God.
Brian asks Justin for a word.
What the fuck is going on out there? I was just giving my friend Daphne a tour.
Okay, so it makes me a little bit sad here how he says, my friend Daphne. I mean, he lives there. He has to have mentioned her before, right? But wait, Brian's met Daphne before. No, in 106, she went to the art show. She was there. She took their picture.
Smile.
And afterwards, she went to Babylon with Justin.
Oh, look, it's the cast of Zoom.
We're celebrating. Justin sold some of his art today.
I don't know, maybe Justin said my friend Daphne just in case to remind him who she was. I don't know, but I do know that Brian will not have trouble remembering who she is after this episode, so all's well that ends well, I guess.
Do you have any idea what time it is?
It's noon.
Brian is supposed to meet his new trainer at 1.
You're just gonna have to be more considerate, Daph.
And I love Daphne's reaction here, her face.
Either one of you know how to make a creatine and soy shake.
No.
Would you please just pour me some guava juice?
It's fancy. Brian's fridge looks pretty empty. Daphne reaches in and she's like, here it is. And I'm like, yeah, it was probably the only thing in there. I especially think this since there's no label on it at all. Daphne reminds Justin that it's Molly's birthday. She saw the balloons on the mailbox.
But how can I go back now?
She's your little sister. I'm sure she misses you.
Yeah, she's probably appropriated all my coolest stuff.
I bet she has.
A drink, Brian.
You'll make an excellent wife. Then she can drop you.
And then I love how Justin kind of like hits him on the stomach. I just love how comfortable they are with each other.
Please. I'm never getting married. I mean, why be tied down?
I love this girl.
I love how Daphne thinks that Brian is so cool now when she hasn't really before.
That's Brian. God, he's so old. And skinny. You can do way better than that.
I've got to find Brian.
What for?
He'll know what to do.
Like he cares. And would you stop watching the door? I can't believe you're actually doing this. For him.
She thinks that he's so cool now and tries to impress him. Also, I also think that what she's saying right there is also probably true for what she thinks right now.
What are you doing?
Gonna smoke some weed. Download porn.
Oh, I love that he asks Justin what he's gonna do.
Well, if you go out, be sure and set the alarm.
Oh no, and as soon as he says that, you just know that there is no way that that alarm is gonna get set. Or something to that effect. Like in 107 when Brian was like to Michael, make sure you don't miss studs and suds. And you're like, well, obviously he's gonna miss it now that you said that.
Bye, darling.
Start of a beautiful friendship.
Oh my god. He's to die for.
Like as soon as she actually meets him for real, she's like, oh my god, he's the best. But I love how Justin's face here is just like, yep, I know, right? So we're at Emmett and Michael's place.
I'm so happy for you. When did he ask?
Last week.
Last week. Last week? Why didn't you tell me?
I haven't told anyone. I haven't decided yet.
And the fact that David asked him to move it a week ago and he hasn't told anyone, it's not a good sign, right?
What's to decide?
I don't know if we're ready. We don't know each other very well, and
Okay, see, so I was right. It was really soon and it was moving really fast, their whole relationship.
There's plenty of time for that once you're living together.
That seems like a bad idea though, or a bad way to go about it. Getting to know someone after you move in. I don't know, but then again, how much can you really get to know someone without moving in with them? Still think it's a little early.
this is still my home.
This dump? Honey, you won't look back.
And what about you guys? If I'm living with someone, I won't be able to see you.
Of course you will. I, for one, expect to be invited to fabulous dinner parties at least once a week. This is about what a certain someone's gonna say, isn't it?
Very observational, Emmett. A really good friend. I have to say again, you know, it does seem really soon. They haven't known each other that long. Honestly, Michael doesn't seem super in this. Although that could just be because he's hung up on Brian, so I don't know.
Well, I say that you deserve to be loved. And don't let any man, queen, or Brian tell you otherwise.
Oh, he does deserve to be loved. You know, and Brian's not going to do that or be that, so he should find it with someone else. And then there's also that added layer of Brian doesn't want Michael abandoning him and their way of life that he thinks that people should live or that he should live. But this is what Michael wants. I just don't know that this is 100% what he really wants. Or maybe it's just like the reason that he doesn't want it is because of Brian. I don't know what to say, but Emmett is being a pretty good friend here. I appreciate him trying to take Michael out of Brian's clutches because it's never going to end till Michael wants it to end. So, but this is something that Emmett's been doing a lot lately. He really wants Michael to be happy.
What about me? How the hell am I supposed to pay the rent on this place all by myself?
And then they have a pillow fight, and what a way to break up a, you know, heavy, tension-filled moment. We're at Justin's parents' house. Sad that it's Justin's parents' house now. It's Molly's birthday party. I appreciate the rainbow color scheme decorations here. Jennifer sees Justin and she seems surprised, but really happy that he came. I mean, though, did she send an invite, though? I feel like she didn't send an invitation. I feel like she could have done that.
I couldn't miss Molly's birthday. Where's Dad?
He seems really nervous when he says, "Where's Dad?"
He's upstairs watching the game. Kids' parties aren't exactly his thing.
Seriously? Okay, so to be honest, this is kind of the moment where I go, oh wow, so Craig Taylor is really just a terrible father under all circumstances. Like, it wasn't situational, if you know what I mean. Not that that's an excuse, but no, it's his daughter's birthday. He's what, 9, 10? And he can't even be there for 5 minutes? Like, she just blew the birthday candles out on her cake. Like, if you're gonna be there at all, that feels like the time to be there. Craig Taylor, you suck so bad. Molly looks really happy to see Justin. She gives him a hug.
What you gonna give me?
Permission to live.
They have a little bit of banter back and forth. We've kind of seen before. Honestly, this always makes it feel a little weird afterwards when they have like no contact. Have this back and forth and whatever, so they have this real sibling relationship. We just never see that again. He never really sees her, mentions her. They seem to have been close-ish. You know, like close enough for siblings with that age gap. So this is why I always feel like they kind of regretted giving Justin a little sister. I would have love to have seen this relationship explored, or at least shown literally at all past here. So he gives her her present, and Jennifer has this moment where she looks at Justin. She just seems so happy, so happy that he's there. I bet she wishes her family could be like her, Molly, and Justin. It could be Jennifer! So he drew a picture of her. Jennifer says, "Justin, this is beautiful," and she seems really grateful. Molly doesn't even say anything, not even a thank you. I guess she didn't get those etiquette lessons that Justin got, but I get it. You know, she's a kid and it is a drawing.
She's thrilled you came.
Yeah. How could you tell?
I love this moment between them and them kind of joking, but I feel like she was thrilled because she gave him a hug, but whatever.
You all right? Are you eating?
Does it look like I'm starving?
This always seems to be Mother's #1 concern.
Where you are staying for dinner?
That depends if Dad wants to see me.
He sounds like a kid when he says this. No, he just wants his family. Oh,
Of course he wants to see you. He's as upset about this as you are.
Really?
He wants you to come home. As you know I do.
I want to come home too.
God, Justin. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Let's go tell him.
Justin just wants to go home so badly. He kind of wants things to go back to normal. And I don't mean normal. I just mean like him being a part of his family. As much as he likes Brian and staying with him, he's 17. He misses his family. He doesn't want to have to be out there on his own or whatever. He doesn't need to totally grow up yet. And Jennifer wants him back more than anything too.
Wait, what about the rules?
Which rules?
Which rules do you think, Jennifer?
That I can't go out or see Brian? Or talk about my disgusting lifestyle?
Oh god, wow, the fact that he remembered Craig's exact words.
You are not to go to gay bars or talk about your disgusting lifestyle.
Like they must have been so hurtful to him. Like, you know, more than he let on.
I don't think he meant it quite that way.
What did he mean?
I think he just wants everything to be as it was.
It can't be the way it was. I'm not the way I was.
And I don't want you to be anything other than who you are. I have to consider the needs of this whole family, not just your desires. You have to understand that.
So Jennifer's in a tough spot. She loves Justin for who he is and wants him to be who he is. But everything that I said before, she's been married a really long time. She has another kid with Craig. She's dependent on him financially. Not to mention, you know, there are people that are very concerned with appearances. We know when she said, not just your desires, I was like, oh, Jennifer. So they're not his needs, they're just his desires. No, Jennifer's made some mistakes. She loves Justin so much, just isn't really ready to do what she needs to do or what she wants to do, I guess. I don't know, I think she's kind of making some mistakes. What I love about Jennifer is that she really learns from her mistakes. Hopefully she will soon. But I also think that they didn't want, and when I say they, I mean the writers, I don't think they wanted Justin living at home. I think they wanted him at Debbie's. I honestly think that that's a huge reason why this is happening. I just know it's, you know, you watch the scene and it's a little hard to understand what Jennifer's doing. You know, all the things I said, you know, like it takes time to work stuff out and dependent on him financially. Worrying about what people think about you is very real. She has another kid. All those things. When you watch this and you're kind of like, Jennifer, what are you doing? Well, she learns from her mistakes, which is good. But also, I think that they really wanted Justin to live at Debbie's. I think that's a big part of it. In the British version, that's, you know, what happened. He lived at Debbie's for most of the first season. So Molly calls her mom and then Jennifer leaves to go cut the cake. So Justin leaves and he looks back at his family that he's not a part of anymore and then he leaves. So Brian's getting it on in the elevator again. Again, what a shaky elevator. It looks very scary. Also, this seems to be who Brian's new trainer is. I wonder how long the training session lasted at the gym. The door is unlocked and a lot of his stuff has been stolen.
Fucking television's gone. And my computer. Oh, fuck. My files.
Brian, I hope you had those backed up. It doesn't seem like you did, but...
Stole my fucking clothes!
And his place has really been torn apart. And then the trick says...
Is the bed still here?
Oh my god, the way he said that, so hopeful. And I'm just like, ugh, read the room. So the police are there and they're taking Brian's statement. And they ask if he's had any strangers in the house recently. And then we, you know, flash back to a whole bunch of different strangers entering the loft.
Oh, no, just, family, close friends.
Michael's on the phone with Brian, and Brian says that he's been robbed. Seeing this on a split screen, like we've seen before, and I love this so much. Michael hangs up the phone, runs out of his apartment, and then enters into Brian's frame. Really, really love that transition. It's a really fun way to transition the scene. Also, it's like showing Michael will drop absolutely everything and get there as soon as humanly possible, or inhumanly, whenever Brian needs him. And Justin is there now. He says that he thought he set the alarm.
Thought you did? Well, you didn't. Where the fuck did you go?
My sister's birthday party. And then I kind of walked around.
Well, while you were kinda walking around, I got kinda robbed.
I mean, it could have happened while he was at the birthday party, like seconds after leaving.
Take it easy.
Well, that's all there's left to take.
And, you know, at first when Michael says, take it easy, okay, finally, thank you, Michael, for sticking up for Justin a little bit. You know, I was like, okay, good for you, Michael. But then that goes completely away in a few seconds.
I didn't mean to do it. I'm so sorry.
I told you when I said you could stay here. Their rules.
Just like Craig had his rules. Not just like them, obviously, but they both had rules to live by. Something that we'll see come back again at the end of the episode. Michael is just looking at Justin throughout this. At first, I thought he was looking at him like he felt sorry for him. Maybe. But then this happens.
Now you've got 5 minutes to pack your shit. None of which, of course, was stolen. And get the fuck out of here!
Okay, so first of all, Justin says that he thought he set the alarm, and he could have. I mean, we just saw that Brian has strangers over there all the time, most of whom probably saw him put in his security code or whatever. And since they took so much of his stuff, like his clothes, and we'll learn later, you know, even some more personal items, it just really leads me to believe that this wasn't a crime of opportunity. I mean, they would have had to have had something to take all this stuff out, like a truck or something. I feel like it was very premeditated and planned. He had been there before, planned it all out, and I think they were just waiting for the loft to be empty. I don't know, this is just what I'm thinking. I guess that someone could have happened on by, found that the code wasn't turned on, called some friends, started loading stuff up, maybe someone with a truck, and then done this as quickly as possible because you don't know when they're going to come back. I just feel like the first option that I said is much more likely, that Justin did remember to set the code, that this was one of the many tricks that Brian has had over, maybe even had a grudge against Brian, who knows, or maybe it's just, you know, an opportunistic thief, saw him put in the code. I don't know. I just feel like that makes way more sense. But anyway, so Brian is really angry. You know, I would be too. Most of his possessions have just been stolen, even his clothes, all his files. He's clearly taking it out on Justin. He just kind of wants someone to blame, even though I think he should have himself to blame, but hey, I think that if he was given a little bit of time to cool down, be able to see this a little bit more clearly, but he just can't do that right now. So anyways, Brian makes mistakes and he made a big one here. But also I kind of love when Brian says, pack your stuff, none of which of course was stolen. And like I said before, I thought it was maybe sympathy that Michael was looking at with Justin. He doesn't say anything after that. Like after Brian yells, he doesn't say anything. Brian leaves. Michael just stands there, watches Justin grab his things, doesn't say a word. And oh my God, Michael, the nerve. He could probably see that Brian was overreacting and taking it out on Justin. I guess maybe he'd rather take it out on Justin than on him, but also maybe he's a little glad. He's like, oh good, this kid that won't get out of our lives, finally, good. He's gone. He just watches Justin pack, knowing he has nowhere to go. Anyways, Michael's at Debbie's. He's telling her that Brian was robbed. I love that bear that she has on her shelf. I feel like I used to have one just like it.
So do they have any idea who did it?
No, but Brian sure is pissed at Justin.
You seem almost happy about that, Michael.
Poor Sunshine.
Yes, poor Sunshine. Thank you, Debbie.
Next thing you know, you'll be wanting to know if we're gonna move in together.
He asked you? Oh, Michael, that's wonderful.
Congratulations, Mike.
So then Vic tells him a story, how he was with this guy for 6 months. They decided to move in together, and then they broke up a week later. So he's trying to caution him against moving in with David, whereas Debbie really wants him to.
I'm just saying it's not so easy for two men to be a couple.
You think it's easy for anybody? But if you love each other, you at least owe it to yourselves to try.
Look, she's got one of those snap bracelets on. I used to have this like fuzzy pink one that I loved, but it like would shed like crazy. But I think they're also showing that no, him and David haven't been together very long, but even when you have, it's no guarantee. So then we have 3 different brunches. Melanie and Ted having brunch, Lindsay and Brian, and David and Michael, who are also having it with an older gay couple. These scenes start off 3 different screens at the same time. So this is the first real scene that we get between Ted and Melanie, and I love it. I love their friendship, and I'm glad that we're starting to see it being developed here. It's also funny how the other two, Ted and, you know, David and Michael's brunch, they made actual brunches, and then Lindsay just shows up at the loft and she's like, I brought brunch, and she's holding a bag of bagels. How many of those are you gonna eat?
12 Armani suits, 4 Gucci belts, and 6 pairs of Prada shoes gone. You know, I'm starting to suspect gay-on-gay crime.
Even more evidence that it was one of the tricks he brought home.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. You have more visitors than Disney World.
Yes, thank you, Lindsay. Also, just like how earlier Brian said something like,
This is not the White House.
But, you know, it kind of is. And apparently they also stole his cutlery and his juicer. So this is what makes me kind of feel like the thief had a grudge against Brian.
I know who's responsible. That little asshole who forgot to set my alarm.
To blame anyone but yourself, Brian.
As if you never forgot anything.
Nothing that important.
To be honest, I feel like you forget to do that all the time, but whatever. Ted, I guess, is Melanie and Lindsay's accountant.
On your salary alone, I just don't see how we can make it work.
David and Michael are having brunch with an older gay couple.
These two met in World War II.
We served on a warship, the Yorktown.
So it just seems like David is trying to show Michael, see, we can make it work. We can be a happy couple that stays together. But whoa, does it feel like he's overreaching here. Like, I thought he was just trying to get Michael to move in. Now all of a sudden, he's trying to make him his, like, permanent life partner. Which is kind of what he says at the end of the episode, so we'll get to that. But it just feels like a huge escalation. Like, I thought moving in was too soon, but the relationship is moving so fast. I really like this old couple, though. Too bad we never see them again.
No, you may not want to hear this, considering he wouldn't give you parental rights, but...
No, I told Lindsay Brian is not the solution to our problems. He's the cause, and he can keep his goddamn money.
I mean, I know you've got issues, but he is the father of your child. It's just because, you know, how is that going to affect Gus growing up? Seeing that you, one of his mothers, hate his father? Like, what's that going to do to Gus?
So where is he?
Who?
Justin.
I don't know. Told him to pack his shit and get the hell out.
Lindsay does not look happy at that. So Ted says she has one other option.
Want me to use my inheritance my father gave me?
Well, if it's that important to you to have Lindsay stay home with the baby.
It's just that's my nest egg. It's all I have in case something should happen.
Okay, so she says it's my nest egg, but if her and Lindsay are partners, isn't it their nest egg? You know, our nest egg? I don't know, she just kind of makes it seem like it's just hers. Kind of makes it feel like she's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out of this family. And she says, and all I have in case something should happen. I don't know, like the way that she says it, it just kind of makes it seem like it's just for her use and her use alone, and not for her family, like her partner and her child. But I don't know, yeah, I guess, you know, I wouldn't want, it just kind of seems like it's her exit strategy or something. Or not.
And no matter what the problems, the sacrifices, it's worth it. Having someone beside you who shares your life. And you were there to share his.
I don't know, I feel like Michael's got Brian for this already. You know, they're not the way that he wants, I know.
You sent him away?
Look, I did him a favor, and this is how he repays me.
He didn't do it on purpose.
Would you please stop making excuses for him?
Sorry. Must be a force of habit.
Must be a force of habit. Like, she's so used to making excuses for Brian all the time. And also her, in a way, kind of pointing out that there's always someone sticking up for Brian, whether it be her or Michael or whoever, but there's no one sticking up for Justin right now. So she's kind of taking that on a little tiny bit. Lindsay takes Gus and leaves.
I thought you were going to help me with this list.
Oh, yeah. There's one valuable item that's missing that can't be replaced.
She's absolutely right. Obviously, Lindsay is right. Justin is more valuable than Brian's things. He shouldn't have gotten rid of him so easily. So we're at the diner.
You're such a big dramatic queen.
It's drama queen.
Also, no, I think he's a drama princess.
Don't be a drama princess.
Love Daphne's hair. Oh my god. And her sweater. So Daphne says that Justin can stay at her house.
Yeah, I'm sure your parents would love that.
Well, what are you gonna do in New York?
Model?
You're skinny enough. You have like the world's most perfect hair.
He does.
Or I could be a go-go boy. I've seen him at Babylon. I could make like $100 a night.
Maybe I could come with you. I could shake it up too.
That'd be great. You and me.
Except I have to be home by 11.
I love that at the end. They're making all these really big plans. And she's just like, oh, wait, I have a real life. But it's really sad because Justin doesn't have anywhere to go. He doesn't have anyone expecting him at home. Justin charged a ticket, apparently. He took Brian's credit card.
That's like a major felony or something. You could go to jail for that.
At least I'd have a place to live. Besides, I'm gonna pay him back as soon as I get a job. I just gotta get out of here.
Okay, so we've seen him go to Mel and Lindsay's before. Could do that, but I get it. You know, he doesn't want to be a burden. Probably a little embarrassed with everything that happened with Brian. And he probably knows that Brian is over there all the time. He said he doesn't want to see Justin, so just poor Justin. The gang is at Woody's, and Mysterious Marilyn shows up. Hello, Mysterious Marilyn. Your first appearance.
Mysterious Marilyn senses you're an accountant. Oh, she's good.
I love the way Emmett says that. Like, he's just so sold now, like she's the real deal. Mysterious Marilyn gets Michael to put his fingers on the Ouija board, asks what his true love's name is, and it starts to spell out B-R-I.
This is too weird. That is not my boyfriend's name.
That wasn't the question. And frankly, he's a bad bet.
I mean, so it's right. It's who Michael's in love with, and he's a pretty bad bet. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm so sorry, Michael. And then Brian just kind of looks like, what? Like, I like how they just breeze right past and they don't acknowledge it. I mean, because Brian knows this already. So Daphne shows up at Woody's and she tells Brian that Justin has run away.
He went to New York.
With your credit card.
What?
He took your credit card.
That little fuck.
He's going to become a go-go boy in Chelsea, and he's going to be very successful.
Well, that's nice.
How do you know?
God writes the script, sweetie. I just say the lines.
I love the look on Daphne's face here. Like, she's like, what? She's like, whatever.
You better find him and bring him back.
I see you on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
The fuck you do?
And before you leave, be sure to check the air in your tires.
This is all your fault.
Then Daphne punches him in the shoulder, which transitions us to Debbie punching Brian in the shoulder at the diner. Love the transitions in this episode. I also love that whole scene with Daphne, of why I don't think Brian's ever going to forget her now. Any Daphne-Brian interaction is fantastic, as I know many people feel. But I'm glad that Daphne's doing something about this. Like, she's telling someone who can do something about this. She knows she can't really go to Justin's parents right now, or her own parents, and so she's like, well, that leaves Brian. So good job, Daphne. Good looking out.
Since when is he my responsibility?
Remember the last episode I was saying, like, oh, it's so nice to see him, like, taking some responsibility for Justin and all those things that Jennifer said. We were taking responsibility for him last week, so...
Since you took him home and fucked him.
Ma, please.
Well, that's the truth.
Which is just like Jennifer told him in 108.
He's not my responsibility.
Oh, yes, he is. You seduced him. You fucked him.
Debbie says that he's going to go to New York and bring him home.
You're bringing Sunshine home in exactly the condition in which you found him. Otherwise, it's not his parents or the police you're going to answer to, honey. You're going to answer to me.
Why do you care?
Of got a better question for you, Michael. Why don't you care at all? Like, he's a kid, Michael. Like, if that were you, you'd wish that there was someone out there who was looking out for you.
Because I couldn't live with myself if something happened to that kid. I love him like my son.
Aww.
Hell, you're all my sons.
Thank you, Arthur Miller.
So I love how Brian laughs at that too, at Ted's joke. He thinks Ted's funny, and we've been seeing that, you know, for the past little bit. I also love how he stops smiling as soon as Debbie gives him that look. Emmett seems to think that they should go after them because he points out that mysterious Marilyn said that he would be in Chelsea.
I'll go with you.
What about your work?
I can miss a day.
So you never have to ask this kid for anything.
But I'm like, okay, like 1 second ago, he did not care at all. He literally said to his mom, why do you care? And then when Brian kicked Justin out, Michael just stood there doing and saying nothing and was kind of like agreeing later that it was Justin's fault. And Debbie thinks that Michael is doing this altruistically, but obviously Michael is just doing this to avoid David and deciding on whether or not to move in with him and spend time with Brian. So Ted and Emmett say that they're going to go too.
Why do you guys want to go?
Why? How can you even ask that?
Right, you're one of our closest friends.
I can't let you go off on this perilous journey all on your own.
We are going to be with you all the way. I'm really touched. What's the real reason?
Road trip, road trip, road trip, road trip, road.
And the look on Brian's face here is priceless. Definitely one of my favorite Brian looks, like facial expressions. Emmett and Michael are packing at their apartment. Emmett also does a bump and is bringing some Valium.
If you're not careful, you're gonna get addicted.
Please. Doing this for years.
He seems pretty cavalier about drug use. I feel like this changes. I don't know.
Justin ran away, so.
You've decided to form a search party.
Emmett and Ted and me.
And Brian. The boys. Weren't we supposed to go to Melanie and Lindsay's?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Don't worry about it. You do what you have to do.
So apparently they were supposed to go have dinner at Melanie and Lindsay's house. David is really pushing hard with these meals with other same-sex couples to try and convince Michael that they can be like them too. Also, Michael kind of sounds sick throughout this whole episode. The road trip has commenced. Ed is drinking a bottle of Orange Jones soda in the back seat. And we'll see in a second that Michael is in the front and he's drinking a bottle of Orange Jones soda as well. So the three of them are singing and Brian's mad because he's trying to talk on the phone. So we learn there haven't been any more credit card charges. And we also learn that it was a plane ticket that Justin bought, which I was shocked to hear this when I first saw this because I thought it was a bus ticket that Justin bought. I looked it up. It's like a 6-hour drive from Pittsburgh to New York and about a 7-hour bus ride. But I guess Justin is used to flying and traveling in style.
How do we find little boy lost?
Mysterious Marilyn said he'd be in Chelsea. You don't really believe that shit. Jesus.
To check the air in your tires, Brian. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I feel like if someone told me that who had been right about many other things, I'd check just in case, you know? It can't hurt. So David seems to have gone to Melanie and Lindsay's place without Michael.
You two are amazing.
We are?
You're like synchronized swimmers. The way you think together, move together, you even finish each other's sentences.
Obviously, that's what he wants to have with Michael. Emmett goes to change a tire, and he gets Ted to help him. So then Brian and Michael go off to share a joint.
Here we are. Brian and Mikey's excellent adventure.
I'm sure that's just what Michael wanted.
You know, that's what I'm gonna miss the most. Times like this. It's just you and me. But now you have to Doc. I guess he does love you.
I guess.
I'm glad you came with me.
We've always been there for each other.
More than me.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
He's right. Michael is always there for him no matter what, constantly. Brian, I doubt is. I mean, partly because Michael probably doesn't reach out to him as much. Also because Brian has his own stuff too. I don't know. He wants Michael to live the way that he thinks he should live. I suspect that that's very true.
I know I can be shitty to you sometimes. I know that. It's only because I know that you'll always love me no matter what.
I do.
God, this is what Michael's been dreaming to hear.
I do too. Always have. Always will. I don't know how I could have made it without you.
Oh my God, no. That's what he's always wanted to hear. He's been waiting for all these years. You know, I think that Brian meant in a friend way, or more than a friend, you know, more than that. But, you know, like the same way that he loves Lindsay. But I think it's really big that he could admit that he loves someone. I mean, he had to be high to do it, but, you know, he did it. When Brian says things, you know, like he doesn't believe in love, I think he means he doesn't believe in romantic love. And then he kisses Michael. A big makeout kiss that Michael looks really into. This isn't their usual kiss that we've seen before. Seems to want to continue it when Brian stops. So when Brian kisses Michael on the side of the road, he is playing with him a bit, but maybe he's also like, if I don't keep Michael hanging on to the possibility, then why would he stay? Why would he still be my friend since that's all I have to offer? Emmett and Ted say they're ready to roll. I think Ted saw at least, and Emmett probably did too, but they're just not going to touch that. But like, is Brian still driving? Lindsay and Melanie are getting ready for bed. Lindsay finds a card that basically says that she can take the year off. So I wonder, how long has it been since Gus was born? Was it supposed to be like 6 months or something? Or less? I feel like it's been less. I don't know. Yeah, because Brian said not even 6 months old, and already my kid's a drama queen, so probably 6 months. So I guess Melanie's decided to use her nest egg. Anyways, they start to get it on. Gus starts crying. Lindsay goes. And Melanie doesn't look too happy, I think, about, you know, what she had to do to pay for Lindsay's year off. I mean, they'd be saving some money though, right? They wouldn't be paying for a nanny. I guess would Lindsay still make more as a teacher than they would be paying a nanny? I don't know. So we're in New York now, and there's been a charge on Brian's credit card. He's gonna meet them in an hour. I love that whole part where it's like...
Seems to me we're headed the wrong direction. Yeah. I think something's telling me that this thing's headed this direction.
Oh, Emmett. Justin is in a hotel room. Seems to be living it up in there. He's in a robe. There are lots of room service things all over. Brian shows up looking a little rough. I guess he's been driving all night, so...
I figured sooner or later someone would come and arrest me, but I was hoping that you would find me first.
Oh, Justin. I guess that's why he took Brian's credit card.
Now pack your shit, because we're going back.
Back to what? My parents don't want me. You don't want me. My life's a fucking mess, Brian.
Yeah, well, whose isn't? We're gonna straighten that out. First thing when we get back, we're gonna find you a place to live.
Why can't I live with you?
Because my place is only big enough for one person, that's me. We're going back to glorious Pittsburgh. You're going back to school. You're gonna turn 18. You're gonna pay back every cent you charged on my credit card.
Then you leave the room.
Oh, don't worry, I won't tell anyone.
Okay, so I love this. Justin is so sad and he feels so unwanted. He has nowhere to go, no one who wants him. His life is a mess. He doesn't have anywhere to live. He can't be with his family. His guy that he likes is kind of seeing doesn't really seem to want him either. He only has one friend and she can't really do anything for him. He just doesn't really have anything right now. And I like how Brian is like, everyone's life is a mess. And if you don't think it is, then they're just hiding it well.
It looks quiet down there. It's not. It's deafening.
And I love how he keeps saying we. We're gonna straighten that out. We're gonna find you a place to live. He acknowledges that Justin's situation sucks, and he says, we're gonna fix it. Have somewhere to live? We're gonna find you somewhere to live. You're gonna do well in school. You're gonna make it to your 18th birthday. You're gonna pay back what you charged on my card. Responsibility and all that. Did steal his credit card. Just love that he comes up with a solution. I think this is him taking responsibility, like Jennifer told him to do, and Debbie, and even kind of Lindsay a little bit. And he's right. You know, right now Brian's place is really only big enough for him at the moment. I honestly can't believe he lets Justin stay with him that long. I think that only shows how much he cares, and I love the way Brian says stuff, his sympathy and whatnot. I'm sure that Brian had the impulse to run away many times when he was young too.
You look like shit. You should go take a shower.
Yeah, I probably should. I'm a stink.
I love the way Justin says, yeah, and when Brian kind of hits him like, hey. I love how he went on this speech about how, you know, they're going to fix his life, responsibility, and all of that. You know, like what Debbie said at the diner really got through to him. He is responsible for Justin in some way, and he seems to be taking that responsibility really seriously. But then he's like, might as well have sex with him in the hotel room too. Why not? And Justin pulls Brian's pants down. He's not wearing any underwear. He really drove for like 6 hours all the way from Pittsburgh to New York, wearing jeans without underwear, like just sitting there in the car. Ugh. In the script, it says that they have very hot and urgent sex, and then it says, Justin is finally forgiven. I feel like he was forgiven in their conversation before that, but anyways. So now we're at Debbie's. I love her t-shirt. It says like, Hello Satan with a Hello Kitty-esque thing underneath. I want that shirt. So we learn that Justin's going to be staying at Debbie's. We talk to his mom and she's all for it.
Well, I'm not. But what do you care? You're moving in with David.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even live there anymore. It's not like, oh, you're moving with David, so what do you care? It's like, no, you moved out of this house a long time ago. You have your own apartment.
It's still my room. It's still got some of my things in it.
Oh my god, though, the look that Justin gives Michael here, priceless.
This is all your fault. Thanks a fucking lot.
Wait a minute. Brian finally did something right.
Why, Deb, that's the sweetest thing you ever said to me.
The way he looked at her, though, I think he really cares about her and values her. We'll see more of their relationship soon. I think he does see her as a mother figure, or even as a mother to him. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but Brian spent a lot of time at Michael's house when they were teenagers.
I promise I'll take care of it.
You better, because I'm going to be doing unscheduled checks. If anything's missing,
or damaged.
Oh my god, I think that Michael's actually being serious here. Like, not joking at all. Oh, Michael, like, move your stuff out if you're so worried about it. But I love that Brian just laughs at it because it's totally ridiculous.
And let me explain the rules of the house to the newest member of our family.
More rules?
First, in this episode, Justin asks his mom if he would still have to follow the rules that his father had laid out.
What about the rules?
I don't want you to be anything other than who you are. I have to consider the needs of this whole family, not just your desires.
And she essentially says yes. And then Brian tells Justin that,
I told you when I said you could stay here. There are rules.
and I guess he broke those rules with Brian by forgetting to set the alarm. I seriously do not think he forgot. And now here's another set of rules, so he's not really anxious to hear them. These rules haven't been really working out for him so far, and he's sick of his life being controlled by rules. And he's like, oh, am I going to be able to keep these? And then she says,
No bringing Trix home after midnight.
I love Justin's face here. He's just kind of like, huh? Wow, okay. So bringing Trix home at 11:30 is fine. So we're at Dr. David's house.
Can I,
Get me something to eat?
You just finished my sentence.
Sorry.
No, that's nice. Nice.
He's like, oh yay, we're becoming like Melanie and Lindsay. There's hope for us yet. And David just looks so excited here.
I love you. I really do.
I can't believe it. Good for him for saying that. I can't believe it. And he says, but...
The answer is no.
I'm just not ready.
Oh, I understand.
Wow, way to mislead, Michael. I don't know, felt a little cruel. Not intentionally cruel, but I feel like he was really misleading him there.
Well, the excitement and the adventure of taking off in the middle of the night with your friends to New York, being with Brian, the memories, the history, I can't compete with that. No, all I have to offer is me, us, this home.
I mean, you've also got, life experience, money, and a house, like you said.
Can we still be boyfriends?
We could be, but I don't want a boyfriend, Michael. I want a partner.
And then Michael leaves. Dr. David is left alone in his home, and then he imagines that fantasy that he described earlier about Michael.
Michael, I have this fantasy. It's Sunday morning. I see through the frosted glass of the shower the shape of the guy that I love.
Am I conditioning my hair at the time?
I'm being serious, Michael.
No, I'm sorry. It sounds nice.
It is nice. It can be nice. It will be nice when you move in with me.
Morning, beautiful.
We'd make breakfast, and then we'd read the paper, and then we'd spend the rest of the day in bed.
And then we kind of leave off of his face as he imagines it, just kind of smiling, sad, and then he says,
Just what I had in mind.
Okay, so that last scene pretty much had me in tears, which I was not expecting. God, it was so heartbreaking. It's so sad because David is like, all I have is me. I'm not Brian. I don't have that super long history. You haven't been pining for me for the last 15 years. I'm not exciting or dangerous. I'm just me. I love you and you love me, but apparently that's not enough for you. Then I was like, well, you don't have to break up, but I kind of get it. David wants more than that. He doesn't want to just be boyfriends with Michael, him still spending most of his time with Brian, still always being just a little bit in love with him and hung up on him. He wants all of him, and he wants a partner, someone that he could actually share his life with, and vice versa. And then when he imagines that fantasy that he mentioned earlier, he says, just what I had in mind. My heart broke. I know that most people don't like Dr. David. As he changes, so does my opinion of him. Not that I totally love him right now, but I just felt for him so much in this moment, and it was so sad. A really great scene, great ending to the episode. I love this episode, like I love all of them. Theme seems to kind of be running from your problems, not acknowledging them. Michael runs off to New York to avoid making a decision about David. Justin runs to New York because of all of his problems in Pittsburgh. No one wants him. Melanie kind of hides from her problem or doesn't really acknowledge it. Lindsay, at least. She's obviously still really mad about the whole Brian Wrights thing. She's probably mad at Lindsay for not trying more forcefully to get him to do it. And again, for making Brian the father at all. She doesn't tell Lindsay how she got the money, Lindsay to take the year off. And we know she's not happy about what she had to do. And I don't know, another theme is partners. I see Melanie and Lindsay as a partnership that's been going strong for the last 6 years. But they're not as great as they appear from the outside. So there are some cracks that are starting. I think these cracks really started when Lindsay said that Brian had to be the father of their kid. But the whole Wrights thing last week really just opened those cracks up. We see the effect of that starting to happen here. And now with their money situation, things are just not going swimmingly for them.
You're like synchronized swimmers.
Okay, that was totally unintentional. We have David and Michael. David wants them to be partners. He organizes 2 different meals with 2 different same-sex couples, prove that they can do this. Still, that doesn't work and can't compete with Brian. Brian is here and getting in the way of their relationship and affecting the 2 of them. So we saw Brian take some real responsibility for Justin. I think it was also really caring for him and his life more. I think that Brian realized he made a mistake getting so angry at Justin and throwing him out, and he's trying to kind of make up for that. I also think that Brian would have gone to get Justin even if Debbie hadn't really been at him to go and if Michael hadn't volunteered. It might have taken a couple more hours, but I still think he would have gone. And you know, part of him is always about keeping up appearances around other people, so kind of has to be like, yeah, I don't care, but I think he would have gone eventually. I love that we get to see Daphne in this episode. I love what we get to see of her. She's finally on Team Brian, which is great, and she's such a good friend to Justin. And she looked great, had some great lines. It was just all fantastic. Debbie is here, yay. Vic is here a little bit, yay. Ted and Emmett were great. Hotel room, yay. The episode ended on a really sad note, and we'll see where that takes us next week. So next time is season 1, episode 11, surprise, and then that'll make it halfway through season 1, which is insane. Like, subscribe, comment. Again, if you've watched to the end of this video, you are very dedicated and I appreciate that. See you next time. Bye.